Beauty just means confidence in your own self and your own skin and just yeah, that's me. Got confidence.
Walk into a room and own it, regardless of who's in there, because you're you.
Yeah. And feeling the best that you can, for sure.
Love
If you
it.
don't feel good, you won't look good.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk. We feature the top medical practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. I have David Hough, a retired sergeant from the City of Phoenix Police Department, where he dedicated decades of service to leadership, training, and community safety. Following his law enforcement career, he transitioned into education, serving as a respected teacher and mentor, and later expanded his expertise into the aesthetic and wellness field. As an esthetician and laser technician, Dave combines clinical precision, patient education, and deep understanding of human wellness to deliver safe, effective treatments. I also have Amber Hough, a highly skilled medical professional whose wellness journey began after being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, when she grew determined to find answers beyond take this pill and we'll see. Her background includes extensive experience in the ER and serving as a first assistant in plastic and hand surgery, where she developed exceptional clinical precision and patient advocacy. Now recognized as a phenomenal injector, Amber blends medical expertise with an artistic eye to deliver natural, confidence-enhancing results. So Dave and Amber, welcome. Glad to have you both here.
Thank you,
Thank
Daniel.
you.
Yeah, so let's start off with this. How did each of you get interested in the medical field? Let's start there.
Honestly, me, as a teenager, I told my mom I wanted to be a nurse or a cop, and she was like, be a nurse. So that's how it all started, to be completely honest. And then it just grew from there, for sure.
And
Okay.
for me, I got hurt. I was a motor sergeant. And I got hurt and I hurt my hand pretty bad.
Mhm.
And I went into a hand surgeon's, and that's how I met Amber. And as I was getting ready to have a third surgery, I didn't want to after I had a second one. She said, "Hey, you don't have to have a second surgery or a third surgery." And I was kind of worried. Then I said, "Well, what happens?" And then she said, "Well, you just you retire then." And I was like, "Holy crap!" Kind of hit me.
Mhm.
And the very last day that I was getting released, I don't know what it's called, released to a full maximum.
Maximum medical improvement.
I was reached maximum medical improvement, and then I hit on my nurse practitioner as she was leaving the room. It didn't work at first, and then a few weeks later, it did work. And fast forward, God,
So
four.
why the medical field? That was the
Oh,
question.
the medical. Sorry, I thought you meant how I met her. My bad. So the medical field, my wife asked me. She was like, "Hey, do you want to do laser training with me? Because I'm gonna go do it." And I was like, "Why not?" So I went and did it, and I fell in love with it. I absolutely loved what the machines could do, how they could help, how they could really change the appearance and the mindset of the individual that's having those thoughts. Then I wanted to transition more and really understand it because I had no idea about medical whatsoever or aesthetics whatsoever. So I went to esthetician school and I did 200 hours of training for that. And here we are now. And I just absolutely love it.
Okay, so Amber got you into the aesthetic side, then it sounds like.
She sure did. And
Yes.
I've always wanted to help people.
Mm.
So this is just another way that I'm able to help.
Got it. And so Amber, on your side, how did you get interested in the aesthetic side of medicine?
So I honestly originally just started doing it for friends and family because I personally liked Botox and I was like, well, since I'm a nurse practitioner and I can get it and order it, why not? And then it was when during I was actually one of the last classes before COVID to do it like a cause before COVID shut down cosmetic classes.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So after my training, I kind of put aesthetics on hold for a short period of time. And when I got back to it, I was like, not 100% comfortable going straight into aesthetics. Um, so I did additional training. And then I really realized that to get to the wellness point where cash-based services are not dictated by insurance, you have to have the aesthetic side to kind of supplement income wise because I've learned that the wellness side is definitely not the huge money maker. So, but it gave me a place where I can help treat people from a more functional perspective. Because of my history of multiple sclerosis, I really felt like we are disserviced in America when it comes to traditional medicine. And there's so many alternative treatment options out there that aren't covered by insurance, so people just aren't aware of them. So like photobiomodulation, even women's hormones, some people still believe that women don't deserve testosterone,
Mm.
or if they don't have a uterus, they don't need progesterone. So I just very passionate for advocating for women's wellness and helping us feel the best that we can.
Got it. Now, what led both of you to starting your own practice? I mean, you both love the aesthetic industry. Why not just work for another practice? Why start your own practice?
Um, Honestly, that was more his end. He is a business entrepreneurial spirit. And also, honestly, the traffic in Arizona is so bad that I didn't really want to go work for a med spa in Scottsdale when we live in the West Valley.
Mhm.
And so I think it's great that the Valley has grown to med spas existing outside of Scottsdale, Arizona, because I feel like in the beginning, anyone was scared to create a med spa outside of Scottsdale.
Mhm.
Um, and so we just decided that the only way that I could truly care for people without any restrictions is to open my own space and be my own provider.
Got it. Now, I want to dive deeper into your actual practice and the treatments that you provide. I want to dive a little bit deeper into specifically weight loss and hormones. You talked a little bit about the hormones. I think it's also incredible that there was that landmark ruling that hormones is now available. It does not cause cancer. They redacted that part of it, which I think is incredible. It's amazing. But can you talk a little bit more about weight loss, specifically how hormones play a role in that and just the synergy between the two?
Yes. So especially for like menopausal middle-aged women, weight loss becomes harder and harder. Like you feel like you're not eating anything and not losing weight. And so I've really found that optimizing both using GLPs as well as optimizing hormones has helped with weight management for my clients, specifically women, and specifically with testosterone. I think that we don't take intake enough protein as we get into our hormonal changes, as well as our lack of testosterone makes it nearly impossible for us to maintain and hold on to lean muscle mass, which is ultimately needed for our metabolism and burning calories. So I really believe that for any woman over 40, those two things kind of go hand in hand. And using the GLPs to get someone to their goal weight is the way I like to do it. And then once they've met their goal weight, we hopefully have had their hormones optimized so that they can maintain that weight without GLPs, just through, working out and maintaining that lean muscle mass.
So it's almost like uh,
Hormones.
a step-by-step process, like get on GLP-1s, lose the weight, get your target weight, and then the hormones is really going to help you maintain that target weight
Yeah.
without the GLP-1s anymore.
Yes, because I found that it honestly takes like a good 6 months between all the hormonal changes going on for everything to settle down. So, people can lose the weight while we're trying to optimize and balance their hormones. And that way it just makes it easier for them to keep it off when they do stop the GLPs.
Okay. And could you dive a little bit deeper into the exact hormones? Because you mentioned testosterone, progesterone. So I think when most people think about hormones, for women, it's just you need estrogen.
Estradiol.
For men, you just need testosterone. But for women, it's you need testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone.
Estradiol.
Could you explain why each of those hormones are important for women?
Yes, absolutely. So, like I already touched on testosterone. We have testosterone receptors throughout our whole body, just like men do. So, we need testosterone as well. We just don't need as much of it. And that helps with energy, mood, maintaining lean muscle mass. So, ultimately, kind of help creating your basal metabolic rate. And then the estradiol. Definitely is more of like your mood, your brain fog, those types of symptoms. A little bit of pain too. Low estrogen. That's why men have a lower pain tolerance than women because they have less estrogen than women. Um,
Mm, Interesting.
so it helps with pain. A lot of women deal with like joint pain and acheness. A lot of them know their pellets are wearing off because their pain comes back. So I really think for estrogen, brain fog, cognitive, and pain, those are very beneficial for taking the estrogen. And then progesterone, with or without a uterus, really helps with anxiety, depression, sleep, mood,
Sweats.
night sweats before your period or around menstruation, as well as PMS symptoms like being crazy before your period is usually due to a very big drop in progesterone, as well as postpartum depression has a strong link to low testosterone and low progesterone as well. And usually they're just prescribed antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication. So I definitely think that it's great that we're learning so much more about hormones and their effect on everything, not just a sexual thing. And hopefully more people will be feeling better.
You notice how we didn't say libido as one of those things. That's the first thing everybody thinks about. And we're
Yeah.
like, no, there's like 75 other things that you worry about instead of that. That'll come. when you
Yeah.
get this stuff in line.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's this concept that I've heard out there is that when you fix the hormones, especially for couples that are kind of later on in their years, is that you can actually save their marriage because when you balance the hormones, there's a lot less argument, they're less on each other's nerves, and you don't need marriage counseling. You just need to balance the hormones, right?
100%. And I feel like I can say this as a woman, only because I'm a woman, I can get away with saying this. But
And I'm
like,
her husband.
I firmly believe that all these women are cranky because their hormones are all in the toilet. Like, I think we age because our hormones decline. And if we can optimize our hormones, to be on that side of the bell curve, to be optimal, then we can make ourselves feel better for the longevity of our lives.
And
Mm,
we're one of the only med spas or wellness facilities that actually treat men and women. Like
mm,
Amber is amazing at what she does for men and women. And we have men and women that come in that are married and we are treating them and they are reporting back that, oh my God, I kind of like my husband. I kind of like my wife. And
Yeah.
we go through, and we're very honest in what we go through with reference to hormones and myself too. I'm on TRT and pellet replacements, and she's on it too. And you could tell, like if we're weaning off of it and we're dropping down, we're like, hey, let's get it done.
okay. So where would someone start? Because my understanding is that with hormones is that if your levels are low, that's when you really need to start getting the hormones in. But how do you know? Like, where does someone start in this journey?
Generally with blood work, and a consultation. The blood work, I don't like use it as like a Bible per se, but it just gives me an idea of kind of what phase of the cycle you're in as a woman. For men, it's not so much, it's they're either low or they're not, and they're symptomatic or they're not. But blood work and a consultation is always where I begin. And then I always start by picking your top three goals. Like, what are your top three things that you want to improve on first? And then once we reach those goals, then we can go past that. But always start with blood work, and I try to have them do it during their luteal phase. If they're still menstruating, day 19 through 21 of their cycle. Um, and then after that, we do the consultation, and I have them fill out a sheet of basically different symptoms and then their severity: none, mild, moderate, severe. And then we take all of that information, establish their goals, and then that's how we determine their treatment plan. And not everyone gets every hormone. I think if possible, like there's no cancer risk, then it's safe to do all hormones in women, and they feel better when all of them are replaced. Um, so that's usually what I recommend, is trying to replace all of them if they're open to that.
Got it. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about modalities, like how you are administering these hormones. I've heard of different ways you can do pellets, you can do injections. I don't know if you can do like orally, take it orally. Like, what are the different ways of doing it? And is there one that's better or not better, or is it just preference?
So there's literally probably any way you can think of to take a hormone: cream, dissolvable troche, pill, pellet. They all come in different modalities for sure. One is based off of patient preference for sure. I've found that oral troches do not really get people to the levels that they need to be as fast as people would like. I think they get impatient, especially because I think there's more and more information surrounding women's hormones, and people are going around, oh, I feel so much better. So there's a lot of expectation for these women coming in from their friends saying, oh my God, I feel amazing. That expectation is high that they want to feel amazing the next month they come in. So I personally have found that injectable testosterone, is best for getting levels if they're not open to pellets. For women, I recommend pellets because they're nice and easy, set it and forget it, and we can take care of two of the three hormones with pellets. And they are considered bioidentical, so the more natural form.
Mm,
Where just the liquid testosterone is more synthetic. But it's also been around for years, so I don't think there's any risk to that for it being synthetic. Um, but there's definitely patient preference and like whether or not they want to go more natural route or synthetic.
Well, and then some people can't do shots. They
Oh
cannot
yeah,
give themselves shots. So
they
they're
don't like
like, I need
needle.
pellets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
okay, got it. Good to know. Okay, so I think we went over quite a bit with the weight loss, with the hormones in particular. I want to pivot over to snoring and sleep apnea, which is something that you guys take care of.
Yes.
So, how do you take care of that? Because I mean, when people think about snoring or sleep apnea or snoring, it's just like, hey, I just snore. I don't know why. I just do. Sleep apnea, well, I just need the machine now, and that'll take care of it. So, what specifically do you do to help solve these issues?
That is pretty much Dave's cup of tea for sure. His
So
specialty.
basically, it's on a machine called the Photona Time Walker 2, and the procedure is called Night Lace, and it's collagen remodeling and collagen rebuilding. So what you do is you get rid of the bad collagen that's not sticky and tacky that holds the skin up in your mouth. Because you think about it, collagen causes our skin to sag on the outside of our body. It does the same thing on the inside of our body. And our airway is created from birth. So the way our brain is programmed, it's created to where our airway will open up when we go into our sleep and we start getting, sleepy and we go into the REM sleep. Well, when the skin is blocking your airway, you don't get those many good sleeps and you don't get into the REM 3 sleep. So you're usually in like, stage 1 or stage 2 of sleep. And that's because your airway is not opened up. So that's why they get the apnea, they get the choking, they get the snoring. So what happens is I treat 4 areas in your mouth with our laser, and it's just collagen remodeling, collagen rebuilding, and it's bulk heating. So I treat the shelf of your tongue, so then your tongue will sit into your mouth more, which essentially opens up the back of your throat more. I treat your soft palate, your pillars and your pilars and your uvula. So then the top of your mouth or the roof of your mouth sinks more up. So now you have more airway to pass through. And then I treat the back of your tongue. I treat either 3 rows or 4 rows about a half an inch from the tip of your tongue back. And what that does is that ablates the bad collagen, gets rid of all the damage that you've done to it from eating and drinking and sleeping. And then your tongue is smaller, your shelf is deeper, so your tongue could rescind back into it. Your pilars are smaller, your uvula smaller, and your soft palate smaller. And you usually need 3 or 6 treatments over the course of 3 weeks. So you do one treatment every 3 weeks.
Okay. And I'm sure you get this question all the time. Is it painful?
It is not. What's crazy is so the treatment itself takes about 25 minutes when I've already done the first treatment. But my first treatment takes about an hour. I go through it and there's 6 steps to it. And there's 2 different hand pieces because our machine has 2 different wavelengths. It has a 1064 and a 2940. So it has 2 different wavelengths. And we're using both hand pieces. So step one, I'm just heating underneath your mouth, underneath the shelf of where your tongue goes. I'm just heating underneath it. It's nothing. But what I do is each step I fire on the person's hand and then I fire in the mouth. And the mucosa in your mouth deadens the spark with the laser. And the bulk heating is just a little warmness in the mouth. So that doesn't hurt at all.
Okay. And when they start going through this treatment, are they going to see kind of progressively better results as you go through it? Or is it more like go through the entire thing, then the snoring and the sleep apnea is going to go away?
Well, you think about how, like, when you cut yourself and how the cut heals, it heals over a certain amount of time. Well, as I'm treating your mouth or I'm treating the inside of your mouth, it's healing over a certain time. So, yes, like instantly, I've had people tell me they sleep better the very next day. And I've not had one person, I think I've done eight or nine people now, and everybody has said that after the first treatment, it's gotten better. After the second treatment, it's gotten better. And I've treated 4 people now for 3 treatments, and they said it's amazing. We
Wow.
are literally getting men and women sleeping back in the same room. I didn't even know that was a thing, that husband and wives don't sleep in the same room. She just
Yeah.
hits me if I'm snoring and go back to sleep.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. I didn't even realize there was a solution for this, but sounds like this is a perfect solution for that.
It's been around since 2010.
Oh,
Europe, Spain got it before anybody. Then Australia and Canada got it in the late 2019, 2018 time frame. And then America got it in like 2020, I believe.
wow. Okay.
Oh,
So I want to dive into misconceptions, myths. We talked a little bit with the hormones, the whole myth that it causes cancer, snoring and sleep apnea is that there's no solution for it. Just put duct tape or the sleeping tape over your mouth, or just put the
yeah.
asthma team on. So, what are some other common misconceptions you hear very often from your clients, your patients, about any of the treatments that you provide?
I would definitely say, like, from the weight loss standpoint, people feel like once you start a GLP, you have to always be on a GLP. And I would definitely say that that is not accurate. I have people in both boats, people that like to stay on it because they feel better with it and they like to stay on it for maintenance. And generally, those people are probably a little more insulin resistant and need the GLP. And then I have people that, like I said, we've optimized their hormones, we've gotten them on a good plan, and they can maintain their weight on their own and they don't need to start the GLP again. So I would say that's one of the biggest misconceptions that I hear personally. And then also, oh, I was told I don't need every hormone, or I'm already on HRT and they're taking the smallest dose of estradiol and that's all that they're taking. So I would definitely say that don't need to replace all of our hormones is another misconception that I hear a lot as well.
Okay.
Then with the snoring and sleep apnea, they're just like, well, if I go get a sleep study and then they say I need a CPAP machine and that's all there is. Well, that's not all there is. There's so many different other things that you could do, including night lace. And night lace is non-invasive. It is safe for anyone and everyone. And the two the two wavelengths do not target water and they do not target color. So that's why it's safe for everybody.
Good to know. Okay. So let's say that somebody is looking for some type of procedure, whether it's going to be hormones or weight loss or snoring or sleep or anything kind of in between. Let's say they're looking for it. They don't know which provider to choose. What advice would you give to this person as they're doing this search? If they find somebody that can help them, has the knowledge, has the experience, and can really get them the results they're looking for?
Are you asking how they find that provider, or what would
Yeah,
they,
like what advice would you give to that person as they're doing the search to try and find that provider who would be the best fit for them?
Yeah, so I definitely would say most of the procedures that we're talking about are from one device specifically. So going to the Fatona Time Walker website and finding a night lace provider in your area for sleep apnea and snoring would be the best place to start. And then honestly, there's probably not going to be that many to choose from at the current moment in time.
There's 3 in Arizona and we're one of 3.
We don't know the numbers in other states, but I always recommend starting at the website, finding a local provider, and then asking them, how many have they done? Because some might have the device, but not even do that treatment, because it's technically a different protocol and it's not an aesthetic treatment. So, but I definitely would just find someone who's done at least, a handful of them, and feels very comfortable with the laser. But honestly, there's very low risk for these treatments. So just making sure you follow your pre and post care instructions, and making sure you find, a qualified provider through the website. They do pretty good training, especially with the night lace.
Mhm.
And then I would say for hormones, like from a man, like I would want to go with somebody that doesn't take insurance because when you take the insurance will dictate that you can only treat a man or a woman at a certain rate or a certain level. And I think that level in Arizona is like 200.
Mhm.
So a man, we can't even treat him if he's 200 or lower. We can't even treat him through insurance, but cash pay or non-provider that goes through insurance, we could treat them.
Okay, so you're basically uh, able to get them the results that they really need, not just what's dictated by their insurance.
Yes,
Correct.
absolutely.
Got it. Okay, good to know. Now, I'm curious now, when it comes to medicine, people believe that there's a protocol, there's a step-by-step process, but what role do you believe creativity plays in how you approach your client care?
I definitely don't believe that there's a one size fits all for anything, especially when it comes to weight loss and hormones. So, I would say that the consultation is definitely the biggest part of figuring out exactly what each person needs. But I do not think that it's a one size fits all. I think everybody has their own, whether they don't like needles or whether they're just too busy or they travel a lot. Like everybody has different needs, and therefore different goals. So I do think that individualized treatment plans is the way to go. And it's never a one size fits all or never just this dose. Because honestly, like the pharmaceutical companies with the GLPs, that's what they do is this is your starting dose. You get this dose for a month, and the next month you're going to get the next dose, and then the next month you're going to need the next dose. Some people don't feel anything on the lowest doses, and you're just wasting time and money till they get to a dose that actually works. Where I believe if they're not having side effects and they're not losing weight, we can titrate up as, higher and faster if need be. So I do feel that no one should ever be just, blanketly treating people just based off of probably what pharmaceutical companies are telling them or recommending.
Okay.
And that's what American healthcare is. It's
Yeah.
like we treat a 46-year-old man, which I am. I work out, I do hot yoga 4 times a week. Like I'm very active. I'm going to be treated differently than, say, the IT guy that works 45 hours a week behind a desk.
Mm.
Be treated completely different. And that's why Amber does a great, great job of getting to know the patient, getting to know their life, getting to know what they do after work, before work, on the weekends. She asks about your libido. Are you in a sexual relationship? Are you not? Like, we want to know everything that's going on so we can make that plan for you, Daniel, not for every Daniel in America, but for Daniel Gal.
Okay, great way of putting it. Now, throughout your experience, I'm sure that you've had some memorable cases or challenging cases that you've had to work on. Is there maybe one story that comes to mind that you can share of just one of those cases and how you were able to get them a great outcome in the end?
I feel like we've had a lot of good
Well, I'm going to
cases.
start crying right now because we have a friend of ours that has dementia. He's like late 50s. And part of the photona, you could do what they call comfort laser, photobiomodulation, low level laser therapy. It's done with the 1064 wavelength and it's safe for everybody. And what it does is it does cellular regeneration and cellular turnover. So it goes into your body up to 10.5 centimeters. And what we've been treating him, we've been treating his brain for dementia because he's full blown dementia.
Mm,
Also,
Alzheimer's, sorry. And his last score that he got on his MoCA score was a 14. And I've done about 27 treatments on him when he did his second test for the MoCA, and he was at an 18. So just seeing him go and hearing his stories, how he's able to remember things and he's able to participate in games with his wife that he couldn't even remember how to play just a few months prior, is the success story
yeah.
that I like.
wow,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. So
incredible.
just a little precedent. He's early onset Alzheimer's, which people who don't know, that's usually a poor prognosis, fast accelerated functional loss. And his score started at an 18, and within a year he was down to a 14. With that was, I mean, and his wife was trying other things like hyperbaric oxygen treatments and the medications that they recommend and going to Barrows and all the things. And we also started him because a recent study came out showing a link for the GLPs being a potential cure or prevention for Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
And while he doesn't need to lose weight, we started him on a microdose of the GLP and then started the transcranial photobiomodulation. And it was within that time period that his score went back up to 18 where he started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I've had
So,
several people with neuropathy in their extremities, and we're treating them, and they're starting to be able to move their hands. They're starting to be able to feel like the temperatures. Like it's pretty cool.
and then, I mean, I can't tell you just how many women have cried. And I mean, tissues are in my room because plenty of women have cried from either just coming to me and finally getting to somebody that's going to listen to them and give them a treatment plan that works to, being like, oh, I'm finally, normal with my husband again, where, things are good. Coming back to kind of your question about like divorce rates are high when it comes to middle-aged people. And I truly believe it's related to hormonal changes because men get grumpy when their testosterone is low too.
I get it.
So,
It's incredible. I mean, just what's out there is just incredible. Like some of these things, I bet most people have never even heard of.
They haven't.
yeah.
Yeah, and that actually leads me. It's a actually good transition to my next question: is where do you think the future of aesthetics and wellness is going?
I definitely think the regenerative medicine route for sure. And optimizing of like basically getting us to whatever the youngest biological age that we
Mhm.
possibly can. I think that's where it's heading. I definitely feel like natural aesthetics is where we're headed and more wellness focused for sure.
Well, and the way I look at it is like, especially with the PBM or the photobiomodulation, you treat the cells to treat the tissues, to treat the organ, to fix the organ system, and that's exactly what we end up doing, and that's the way health is going, I believe.
Okay.
Root
Yeah,
root cause, not symptom.
yeah, and I think that it's a good way that we're going. Like people are taking more responsibility for their own health, and it's now they're like, hey, what's another option aside from just going to your regular doctor and then saying, well, take this pill or just eat healthier, work out more, and like, okay, well, I've been doing that, like whatever.
Everybody knows,
I don't know
yeah.
what else. Yeah. So
hmm
I think it's a fantastic direction we're going in. Now,
Yeah.
with that in mind, what is your vision for your practice, enhanced beauty and wellness? What's your vision for the practice?
Man.
My vision is just to keep helping as many women as possible. I just, like I said, I think that a lot of us blame it on aging. We're getting older, stress, whatever, kids, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's our gradual decline in hormones that are driving us crazy. And it can literally put you in a very terrible place mentally for women. And when people just tell you, oh, your hormones are normal because they fall in a range on the lab order sheet or on the lab result sheet, well, there's a reference range for every cycle of our period. So, and even for postmenopause, so of course, they're always going to be within normal range.
Mm,
So I just think that's my overall goal is just to help women feel normal again, as many as I can.
awesome. Well, with that being said, I have one last question for you. But before I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at enhanceyourselfaz.com.
Thank you.
Last question is, what does beauty mean to you?
Beauty just means confidence in your own self and your own skin, and just yeah, that's me. Got confidence.
Walk into a room and own it, regardless of who's in there, because you're you.
Yeah, and feeling the best that you can, for sure.
Love
If
it.
you don't feel good, you won't look good.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, there you have it. Dave and Amber sharing their expertise. Now, where can people contact you in your practice?
You can call or text us at 623-633-4505.
Awesome. Well, this is awesome. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and thanks for sharing your message.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel, and let everybody know we got your 6.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.